Let me also now welcome in Mr. Menon, who's joining us from Thomas Cook, India, and get his take. Mr. Menon, the budget does aim to aid the middle class by revising the personal income tax. How do you see this helping spending power? Do you see an increase in domestic tourism on the back of this?
So, from a tourism perspective, the budget overall has been very good. Whether you look at it from an infrastructure perspective, where they have announced that they want to develop 100 more airports. They've talked about allocating nearly 9,000 crores to building infrastructure around heritage sites, as well as giving 3,150 crores to the Ministry of Culture to develop some of these touristic locations. I think the other important factor which has been, the allocation has appeared in the budget is 2,500 crores for what I call advertising and public relations around tourism, which will definitely generate interest both internally as well as externally. So I believe overall the budget has been very good from a tourism sector perspective. At an overall level, obviously demand is triggered by a variety of factors, and very honestly, I'm not sure what that relationship between the overall budget and the triggers are. But I would like to believe that the allocations to the tourism industry have been positive and will trigger growth both in domestic as well as international tourism.
So the budget has also imposed an overseas tour package, liable for 5% tax collected at source. Do you see this as a deterrent for foreign trips? Is it a step to boost domestic tourism?
Look, we need clarity on this issue. There are various interpretations that are floating around. We will need to understand what the implications are. But till we understand, I don't want to comment on it at this stage.
Sure. Further, the budget also proposed to boost the sector by about 2,500 crore rupees allocation for tourism promotion, developing archaeological sites, allocation for transport infrastructure. How do you see this revitalizing the untapped destinations in the country?
I have always said that our tourism, potential has been hugely underdimensioned, primarily driven by the fact of a lack of infrastructure, the lack of development of infrastructure around these sites. So any allocation of funds to this magnitude is simply welcome. I think this is a trend that goes all the way back to 2016 or 2015 when the Prime Minister and this government started allocating funds as well as giving tourism importance. So I think it's in that theme that I would really commend the fact that they continue to allocate funds, and this is a long-term process. This is not something that will happen over a couple of quarters or even potentially over a couple of years. It will take some time, but in the long term, I believe that all these will act as triggers for the development of tourism, both domestic as well as international.
Right. So do you see the move in line with the Prime Minister's vision of boosting domestic tourism as it increases in India, attract international tourists as well?
Look, I think, you need to look at it from two perspectives. If I look at tourism promotion and the allocation of 2,500 crores, a lot of that will happen across various channels, be it the digital as well as other media channels, and I think that will propagate tourism on all ends. It will also encourage state governments to push their tourism boards to align with this vision, and therefore drive growth in domestic tourism. So I see an overall benefit to both international as well as domestic tourism. I must add that if you look at the track record of countries that have actually used promotion as a means of attracting tourists, they've been extremely successful. And examples I can give you are Singapore tourism, Malaysia tourism. Off late we've seen Philippines, we've seen Australia. All these countries spend a fair amount of money on promotion of their countries, and that does attract tourism. So I don't think, India's on the wrong track. I think the government has got it absolutely correct. And while I don't have data to determine whether this is the highest allocation, regardless of the fact that, the government is allocating a sizable amount of money, which will generate enough attraction of notice to India.
Okay, with an increase in more Tejas-type trains and airports, what's your view? And do you see this boosting tourism to perhaps outside of the main centers?
Look, as you develop infrastructure, both air and rail, it will only attract people because the ease of getting to these destinations will increase significantly. I also believe that the hospitality infrastructure will also get built as more roads and development take place. So in my opinion, this is a very welcome move on the part of the government. And as I mentioned earlier, they've allocated money across the various points from which tourism can be triggered.
Okay, so with all these new opportunities, what is your strategy or way ahead for Thomas Cook?
Look, as a group, Thomas Cook India is focused on moving tourists to destinations, be it into India, be it across India, or be it out of India. This is our core business. We will continue to focus on it, and we will ensure that we provide the best experience to our customers. And I have no doubt in my mind that if the government continues this vision, it will develop India as a tourism destination for international tourists. At the same time, it will grow domestic tourism. And you must understand that tourism is an employment as well as an income multiplier. Just one piece of data that appeared in the budget was the fact that foreign exchange earnings grew by 7.5% as a result of tourism. Now, if I apply the multiplier effect or in terms of employment and other factors, this is a significant increase.
Okay, good to have you on the show, and thank you so much for taking the time out and giving us a quick take on what the budget really implied for the sector.